I don't need them to trust Israel. Qatar is a terror state. Doha is a terror capital. And we know that for the past 25 years, they've been planning terror attacks from Doha. They've been acting them. They've been sponsoring terror and funneling billions of dollars to Muslim Brotherhood.
Before we dive into the full story, comment where you're watching from and don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Now let's set the stage. What we just saw was the former Israeli Prime Minister, Naftali Bennett, putting on full display his shaky grasp of international law. And here's the word that defines it all: impunity. Israel is moving as if there are no rules, striking who it wants, where it wants, and when it wants, with little regard for sovereignty or global standards. But here's the catch. In acting this way, Israel hasn't projected strength. Instead, it's exposed weakness. It's revealed a leadership so blinded by arrogance that it underestimates how the world is watching, analyzing, and judging every move. And in this very exchange, Sky's Yalda Hakim doesn't just ask questions. She runs intellectual circles around Bennett, leaving him scrambling to defend the indefensible. Let's break it down.
The US president tells the Emir of Qatar, or attempts to, reassure him that this kind of thing won't happen again. Are you saying he's in fact lying?
No, that's what you're saying. I'm not saying that.
No, he's told the Emir of Qatar this is not going to happen again. You're saying wherever Hamas is, we're going to go after them. So you would attack Qatar again?
I'm not going to say what we're going to do or not going to do. I will tell every terrorist on earth
you said we will do it again.
Let me be clear. Any terrorist on earth who's planning to murder Israelis, planning to murder Jews, will be killed if necessary. Nothing will be a safe haven for terrorists who want to murder my people.
And that is the position of the Israeli government, regardless of what the US president is saying, that this won't happen to the Qataris again?
I don't think the U.S. president says that you can go murder Israelis and get away with it. He himself said that these. Let me finish the sentence. President Trump today, after the attack, said through his spokespeople that the Hamas leadership needs to be eradicated.
He did, in fact, but he also spoke in the last hour or so with the Emir of Qatar. They've put out a statement saying that the U.S. president has told them this isn't going to happen.
Look, what I can tell you is my message, our message, is that the days where you can go around murdering and raping and burning Israelis, let me remind you, it was Hamas who attacked Israel on October 7th, burning, raping, murdering 1,200 Israelis. Right now, Hamas is holding 48 hostages, of which 20 are alive and being tortured.
When former President Trump personally reassured the Emir of Qatar that such an attack would not happen again, you'd think that would settle the matter diplomatically. But instead, Yalda Hakim used that very point to tie Bennett into knots. And sure enough, the former Prime Minister stumbled right into her trap. First, he mumbled about not wanting to say what Israel would or wouldn't do. Seconds later, in frustration, he blurted out that anyone on earth planning an attack on Jews would be killed. Do you see the contradiction? He claimed restraint, only to turn around and threaten global action without boundaries. That's not strength. That's a leader unraveling in real time. And here's the bigger picture. Israel is a member of the United Nations. By joining, it agreed to abide by the UN Charter, which explicitly prohibits the use of force against another state's sovereignty unless it's authorized by the Security Council or in immediate self-defense. Bennett knows this, yet in the heat of the moment, he effectively brushed it aside. So the question becomes, why should a nation be allowed to sit at the UN table, invoking its legitimacy, while breaking every rule in the book when convenient? That hypocrisy is what Hakim exposed, and Bennett never saw it coming.
Just read that statement from the Emir of Qatar, who has said this is a flagrant violation of its sovereignty and security and a breach of international law. This is a blatant disregard for international law, isn't it?
No, international law starts with the duty to defend your citizens. And I want to say that international law does not provide immunity for ARC terrorists and the masterminds of terror attacks, wherever they are. We'll get to any terrorist wherever he may be.
Well, in fact, international law is very explicit. No state may attack another without Security Council approval or a case of direct self-defense. So, frankly, you didn't seek any of those approvals. You've gone into sovereign territory, crossed the skies and launched this strike on a sovereign state.
You know, when the U.S. went out and took out Osama bin Laden in Pakistan, they didn't notify Pakistan in advance. That was also a sovereign country. You have to do this in order to eradicate terror. These are the people who control Hamas in Gaza, control Hamas in Israel. They are responsible for yesterday's attack, where Hamas took responsibility for the killing of 6 civilians in Jerusalem at a bus station. So a terrorist is still a terrorist, even if he sips tea at a 5-star hotel in Doha.
At this point, Bennett's argument completely collapses into empty rhetoric. He keeps repeating that Israel needs to do this to eradicate terror. But here's the problem. Eradicating terror doesn't give you a blank check to ignore international law. No country gets to rewrite the rules just because it claims its cause is noble. That's the very reason laws exist, to stop powerful nations from doing whatever they please. And if we're going to talk about terror, let's be honest, it cannot be a one-sided conversation. What about the suffering and fear inflicted on Palestinians by Israel's military campaigns? What about the families who've paid the price in Gaza and the West Bank? There's simply no comparing a single day of violence to the relentless aftermath that has stretched on for months. That reality gets conveniently ignored when leaders like Bennett want to play the victim while acting as the aggressor. And here's the harsh truth. Israel gets away with this partly because Arab leaders, for all their statements of solidarity, refuse to back words with action. They sit quietly on the sidelines, more worried about diplomacy and trade deals than about confronting Israel head-on. That cowardice leaves Palestinians isolated, trapped between Israel's military machine and their neighbors' silence.
So you're saying basically that sovereignty is negotiable, international law is just a thing of paper, diplomacy, these sorts of things don't actually matter, because we know that for the last 20-plus months, since October 7, Israeli officials have travelled to Doha a number of times, sat in hotels where Hamas was in another wing of that hotel and negotiated with their Qatari counterparts. How can they now trust Israel?
I don't need them to trust Israel. Qatar is a terror state. Doha is a terror capital. And we know that for the past 25 years, they've been planning terror attacks from Doha. They've been acting them. They've been sponsoring terror and funneling billions of dollars to Muslim Brotherhood terrorists and to Quds terrorists of the Shiite. They're the only ones who support financially both Shiite and Sunnite terror. So I don't need their approval. I don't need them to love me. I need to protect our people.
Well, the United States, they're an ally of the United States. They have, the US has military bases in Qatar. And frankly, as far as keeping terrorists there, it was the United States under President Barack Obama who asked the government of Qatar and the Emir of Qatar to have the Hamas office there. So pointing the finger of blame at Qatar in this instance for housing Hamas, when it was in fact the US president who asked them to do that.
No, but I'm talking about much more than just harboring. I'm telling you that, first of all, we attacked Hamas. Hamas is our target. We didn't attack the Qatari leadership or anything of that sort. But I want to be very clear that if you take responsibility yesterday for killing 6 citizens, you're not immune just because you're at another location. You can't kill Israelis. You can no longer kill Jews and think that you can get away with it wherever you may be. So Hamas is the terror group. We are on defense. And when you take out terrorists, you're actually saving lives. And we're proud to do that.
Naftali Bennett, thank you very much for joining us here on the programme.
And here's the jaw-dropping part. Qatar, the only country that has consistently served as a mediator between Israel and Hamas, is suddenly branded a terror state by Bennett. Think about the irony. The very nation facilitating dialogue is dismissed with a label, not because of evidence, but because it's politically convenient in the moment. That's not strategy. That's desperation. And let's be real. Bennett throws around the word terrorist like it's a catch-all insult, but can't even define it in a way that holds up under scrutiny. Instead of making his case stronger, he exposes just how flimsy and reactionary his arguments really are. Through it all, Yalda Hakim deserves credit. She didn't need to shout or grandstand. She let Bennett's own contradictions unravel in front of the camera. Every question chipped away at his composure until he was left spinning in circles, unaware that the trap had already been sprung. And that's where we'll leave it. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Did Bennett's defense hold up, or did Hakim expose a deeper truth about how Israel justifies its actions on the world stage? Until next time, this has been The Whip Line. Thanks for tuning in.